Welcome to the Park and Play podcast. This is episode 3. We are out today with Blain McEwan. We're going to find out all about him, all about his band and all about his music. So first of all, Blain, welcome. Thank you for coming to join us today and giving up some time on your Saturday afternoon. For the purpose of the audio and the videos, can you give us a brief introduction of who you are and what it is you do?
Sure, not happy to give up some of my Saturday, not usually meeting guys in car parks, but just things you do. No, my name's Blain McEwan. I play with the Glasgow, a Glasgow rock band, I suppose you would say. So, I've been playing with the guys since 2002, I think, 2002, 2003. So, not going really well. We've just finished and put out our first album at the end of last month, so all going really good.
Excellent. So obviously the podcast is about journeys, and I'm interested in people's journeys, like how they've come to be where they are and the kind of journey throughout there. So we'll talk about kind of some of the things in terms of the highs and the lows, the peaks, kind of influences, all those kind of things. I think is really interesting. I find journeys really interesting, and that's why I started doing this podcast, and catch up with people that I find are really quite interesting. So obviously, outside of podcasting, I know you. We work together, and I have interviewed you before for a charity thing. Which was probably, was that the first time we met? Just before that,
Aye, would have been.
Yeah, so we caught up, we met, we done a wee charity interview for Men Matter Scotland. Shout out Men Matter Scotland. First of all, music. So how did you get involved in music for the beginning?
I think music's something I can just always kind of really remember being part of my life. You know, it's so many different kind of family influences and different sort of styles and genres as well. Like kind of growing up, my mum liked bands like The Clash and all that sort of stuff. My dad was more the Ibiza scene, so he liked all that. My grandfather, he was right into the sort of jazz music and sort of bits of blues and stuff like that. And there was always a guitar sitting around the house. And kind of later on, my stepdad, kind of was right into bands like Paul Weller and The Who and sort of stuff like that as well. My uncle, big Radiohead fan, so it was like there was always kind of music there, and there was always different instruments lying around the house and stuff like that. So I just kind of started to just immerse myself in it really. Like I always remember going around to see my uncle, and he let me hear like Radiohead OK Computer for the first time, and it was like, what is this? Like I've never heard anything like this, and it just taking me down all these sort of different avenues. And I always sort of from a young age used to sort of pick songs apart. Like it was never, I could listen to them as an overall finished piece and feel that whatever it may be, good, bad, or indifferent with the songs, but being able to sort of break them down, they kind of go, what's that guitar doing, and just really see it as a kind of overall picture. Well, you see the overall picture at the end, but there's all these different layers that sort of sit in amongst it and flow in and out. So it totally, from a young age, just totally captivated me. And I think kind of as time went on, like I'd kind of go down to the local library, and they'd be able to like rent out CDs at that point. And I was like picking up like Pink Floyd CDs and Smashing Pumpkins and kind of exploring that side of things. And then, I say, my granddad like Muddy Waters CDs like lying around and stuff like that, and I was like kind of get right into that sort of Delta blues thing at a really young age. But it's funny because like, I remember like, kind of get into high school, and it was at that time is like you'd one group that liked it was like Dr. Dre and Eminem and all that, and then you'd like the kind of heavy metal brigade that was like kind of Slipknot and Korn and whatever, and guys that like dance. But I was like the one guy that liked like the Beatles and stuff like that, and it's like so no, it just totally love it. Still do. I still actively go out to find that to find something new and exciting, just to get that wee kick. I don't know how to really describe it, but you're always looking for something new and interesting. And say it could be something that makes you feel happy, something that makes you feel sad, something that's I think it's just about still finding that connection to music and still feeling that sense of emotion there is really important. And I think it's harder to find now, especially it's in a world that's just like fast food music, where it's like you've got a band out there, they release a couple of singles, they're absolutely gone again.
Yeah, they're gone.
It's harder, I think, to have people listen to a full album because they just don't have a attention span anymore. But to me, like, to see something end to end and hear that story throughout the album and flick through the artwork, if the bands are still doing that, is great. So, but no, I think when I was in school and stuff as well, I wasn't particularly academic, let's say, and I just didn't have that attention span in school. So, like, did music and stuff like that, same as everyone else does, but maybe sort of playing up a bit and go, right, you go and play guitar in there yourself. Some sort of punishment, but to me, I was kind of quite happy to go on and just like learn songs, and that's really where I started learning the guitar. It was just sort of picking things up myself and just kind of learning like Ocean Colour Scene songs or Oasis songs or whatever it may be, and starting to kind of build up from there. And then it was probably the age of LimeWire and all these sort of
back in the day,
back then. So once you started to experience that, and then it was just this endless world that you could explore, and that was what I did for most of my teens, and it was just listening to music all the time and learning and studying what different bands are saying and doing and all these kind of things. And then just started playing the guitar properly when I was about 14, 13, 14. Just kind of taught myself, and then went out and buy like guitar magazines and stuff like that, and just sort of learn these things, and again learning different types of music. It was all like kind of, there'd been the bands like Sum 41 and all that sort of stuff would have been them when I started learning, and Green Day, and they were the easily like kind of most available types of guitar music you could kind of get your hands on. So kind of when I came towards the end of school and not really knowing what I was wanting to do, I went and did a course in music at James Watt College in Greenock, and we were really lucky because it was like the first ever, like they just built like a multi-million-pound music sort of complex there, really state-of-the-art stuff with great lecturers, some guys that I'm still good pals with now. And kind of it was like music performance and promotion, I think it was called, in there, and kind of met so many amazing people, amazing characters, folk that have gone on to have really good music careers and things like that as well, whether it's being in a band or kind of doing sort of live sound and stuff. And just kind of met a lot of people there, and Gav that plays in the band with us now, we first met there when we'd have been 16ish, 17. And I've kind of played with various bands and with him over time, and I started off a couple of bands in my sort of college years, and then started working and everything else, and was doing it kind of alongside there. So no, I've played in, I don't know how many bands that's been now, but loads of different ones with different people over the years of different genres and whatever else, and just kind of played all over the country with it.
Aye. Do you know, school's got such an interesting thing, because see, when I was at school, I think I learned keyboard. I think I travelled about different schools and stuff. So at one point I lived in Ireland, right, and I was learning the penny whistle, and I was in this fucking band that my dad kind of forced me to go to, and I wasn't really. I loved music, but I was really shit at it, if I'm honest. I was quite poor. I've always loved music. I've always loved like playing the piano. I own 2 guitars. I still can't play them. I think I can play one song. I always loved the idea of learning stuff, so I was like, a couple of years back I was like, right, that's it, I'm going to learn the guitar and I'm going to learn Spanish, and I absolutely hammered my Spanish for ages and then fell away, and exact same, I tried to build up the kind of callousness in my fingers to try and learn the guitar and pick up, and again it just fell away, and it gets so frustrating because I'm quite a quick learner. So I found it really frustrating when I just couldn't pick up. the reality is I loved it, but I was just really shit at it.
Aye.
And it was kind of came for the school thing, do you know what I mean? You learn the keyboard in school, again, I could play a couple of songs, but I was really bad at it, to be honest.
Aye. But it takes time, and it's dedication, and I don't know how many people I've met over the years that'll go, oh, can you teach me a bit of guitar and stuff? Aye, no bother, like, I'll teach you, but it's like you say, if people can't pick it up straight away, or if they can't play Guns N' Roses in a week, they're like, oh, I can't do this, my fingers don't move that way, like, well, they do, you just need to, you need to practice every day, and even now, like, if I'm just sitting playing a guitar in the house, it'll just be kind of noodling. I'm not necessarily playing other people's songs or whatever.
Aye.
But it's keeping. It's you've got to, it's like any muscle or anything like that as well. Or if you're learning to drive a car and things like you don't just sit in the car for the first time and go and drive away like David Coulthard. Do you know what I mean? It takes time and practice and coordination and aye. But it's
a bit like Call of Duty then.
a bit like Call of Duty. Let's just say, if I was to start playing Call of Duty today, I wouldn't be expecting to be as good as you are.
Aye, I mean, I'm no bad for my age. I would say the boys I play with are all far younger, so it's quite tricky sometimes because they're exceptionally good and I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm very good for my age, but because again it's a young man's game, this Call of Duty thing. But as I say, if you do something all the time, you'll get better at it.
Absolutely.
And with music, I probably just didn't give it the commitment. I love music. I love listening to loads of different types of music. And again, the early influences. My mum and dad used to play a lot of country and some really old stuff, and then I would listen to such a variety of music. Like my playlist can go from Dr. Dre and Eminem to Adele, and I'm well known for going to concerts of boy bands, and we've got to Westlife next year. We've been to see Backstreet Boys. I've been to see Ed Sheeran 3 times. Like my music varies so much, and even up until recently, the other day I was messaging you about the Glass Key was actually on my Spotify Wrapped.
Good choice.
Which,
good choice.
It was a wee bit of a shock actually, but it was quite cool. It's it must be quite a wee boost to go, I'm actually in somebody's Spotify Wrapped, do you know what I mean, at the end of the year.
It's weird, like, it's like, we sort of put out our first single it's a couple of months ago now, and it never really gave it another thought. We just thought, it's nice for us just to have something that we've made and kind of put it out there. But then you go down and you're like, oh, it's got 500 views, it's got 1,000 listens, it's got 2,000 listens or whatever, and you go, Jesus, like, that's... And it seems really small in comparison to other bands, and it is. But just to know there's people kind of listening to it, and hopefully are getting something from it is what it's all about. And it's funny now, like we kind of done the music video for it and stuff, put it on YouTube, and the kids will be flicking through and go, Dad, look, you're on the telly, you know. I go, well, aye. So fuck, it's good. It's nice. It really is.
No, I think sometimes people take, especially viewership and stuff, out of context, because obviously I've done lots of videos, gaming, drone videos, and now we're doing the podcast and stuff, but and I love doing it. I absolutely love editing and building stuff and putting stuff together and then kind of seeing the final outcome, but you do become a bit addictive by the views and the numbers. When I was looking at this podcast the other day on Acast, so Acast kind of sends it out to Amazon, Spotify, Apple, those kind of things. It was saying that my number 1 download and streams was in the UK, second was the USA, and third was France. And I was like, this is absolutely crazy. I've only got 2 episodes out and there's people downloading my podcast in the USA and France. So that was a bit strange. So either that or somebody's left a VPN on after other things. But no. So tell us about the band. How did you meet the guys? How many's in the band? Who are they?
So yeah, there's 4 of us. So it's myself, Blain, Scott Toner on the drums, Gavin Clark on the guitar, Stefan Connor on bass. So I met Gav when we were in college, and it was, I can't remember how we ended up sort of playing together, but just very similar kind of interests and kind of influences. And he's been in so many bands with us over the years, and he's one of these guys, like, I don't know, we just understand each other musically, like, and it's really hard to find that connection with somebody, because I've played in, like I say, played in loads of different bands, and there's something that, I don't know if it's a natural thing or it comes over time. I'd probably say it was more natural, but you just kind of know when each other are going to change, and like you probably say Gav's like the kind of lead guitarist in the band, although we kind of switch, but we just kind of know like when we're going to do things together without actually saying it or even giving that wee kind of nod or whatever. So he's, to me, like the sort of perfect guitar player to have alongside us in any band. And then Scott was also at college, although we didn't really know each other too well. Until I got to know him a wee bit more kind of later on, and he played in a couple of different bands that we used to kind of go and watch all the time. And he's great, like such a brilliant drummer. Again, like played with different guys before, and drums is a funny one. Like they're very much, like they are their own species in a band, and it's like they're usually quite eccentric guys, and they're the ones making the most noise and everything else, and that can become a bit overpowering with some bands, because like the drummer's got to, everybody's got to sort of sit kind of in the right place in the band, but drummers sometimes can be too loud or not particularly tasteful. In terms of, it's more about them and than the song and whatever else. Scott, you could never say that about him. He's such an amazing drummer. He plays to the song. He's not the sort of guy, like, if you're going, right, there's not going to be any drums here, just some hi hats or something, like, he'd be like, I ain't bother, fine. Like, he's
not precious about it.
Not precious. And it was just at the time when I was sort of putting this band together, his last band were sort of doing different things, and it just sort of, just timing wise, was really fortunate. I thought, fuck it, I'm just going to ask him, see what he says, and he said aye, which was great. And then Stefan's quite new to the band. He's just been there the last kind of couple of months with us. So, but again, he's played in a few sort of established bands around Glasgow as well. So it's probably weird for him, because coming in and we're like, oh, do you remember that? Remember they days? Remember that days? And he's kind of like, fuck, I don't know any of these people, but he's fitted in great, and they're a good bunch of guys, great musicians, and like I say, there's no ego there in terms of, I say it, I come and go, right, these are the songs and you play this, you play that. It doesn't really work. You can give people a basic idea, go, right, here's what I'm kind of thinking, like send it to them, we come back in and we start to kind of build it up together, kind of organically. But there's no, if I'm doing something, when the guys go, oh, that doesn't really work, try this instead. Like, we're all very complimentary and always try and help each other to get the best end result for the song, really.
And see when some of these news coming into the band, then is it kind of like get them in for a wee feel, see if we think we're going to vibe together, and then if it works, then say, right, you're kind of fully in? Because it must be really difficult if you bring somebody and say, let's join the band, and then it doesn't really work out. How does that work?
It is a really tricky one to judge, because you've got to have that balance between, are they good enough to play the songs? Because the songs are there's quite a lot to them, and you've got to be a certain level, I would say. But if you can see that they're not quite at that level, but you can see that they could get there and their personality works, but then there's obviously something there. But if somebody comes in and they're, again, like I was saying about the drummer, and it's all about the sort of bass show and everything else, and too much, that's not going to work. You've got to have that sort of sweet spot in the middle between being a decent person and being a good player. It's really important, because essentially you're kind of spending all your time with these guys and stuff as well, and it's like you've got to have a shared goal and a ambition and everything else as well. So it's like we have had people in the past, and we will do kind of auditions and stuff like that. And sometimes you get guys that come in, and you can tell they're great players that sit in a bedroom and can do all this technical stuff, but personality wise and stuff, they don't really work.
Aye.
Or you get guys that you're we had it maybe about a year ago. We had a guy, and it was a good mate of mine, came in to play bass, and he just hadn't learned the songs, and you're going, "No, this isn't going to work." So it is tricky, but I think you kind of know, you get somebody in for that initial audition, try and give them maybe a song or two to learn, and then sit and talk for half an hour, and see kind of where they go. But it can be a tricky one to judge.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So.
It's funny, we do something similar in the gaming side, because we've played with so many different players over the years. And I used to do a Monday night where I would get together with random players. So I would say random players would come and join me. So all over Twitter, social media, and people would reach out. I end up playing a few games with some people. Some guys that didn't work out, again, they just didn't vibe with you. It's not really for me about the skill level when it comes to gaming. It's more if you can work as a team and play well together. And there was a big guy, Mac, that ended up, he's boy from Edinburgh. He ended up joining us. The banter just seemed to be there between us. We just got on really well. And I ended up going to his wedding
Really?
a couple of years ago. It was 2 years ago this week, actually, or last week there. His 2-year wedding anniversary. So the first time I met him in real life was at his wedding, believe it or not, which is wild, but it's more common nowadays.
It is.
There's a lot of online friendships and kind of pals and stuff, and we had been talking for a long time, and I went at his wedding, and the first time I actually met him and his wife was on their wedding day, which is the bizarrest thing ever, but it was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
But I understand that, getting people in, try to vibe with them and make sure it works before you kind of push on any further.
Yeah.
I always ask people in this, because obviously Journeys is full of kind of highs and lows. Has there been any real low points where you've thought, fuck, I don't know if I can do this anymore, or I want to chuck it? Has there been any of those moments?
There's been loads. There's been loads and loads. Because I think my music, well, not for everybody, but certainly for myself, and I suppose a lot of other musicians, it's like that's your kind of creative outlet to say what you want to say and express yourself in a particular way. So when you're literally putting your heart and soul into something, like it becomes really precious to you. Do you know what I mean? And it becomes like that's your baby that you're really proud of. And I think when you kind of get to a point with that, where you just feel as if it's not really working, and you're like, am I wasting my time here? Should I just chuck it and do something else? And I've thought about just going like manage bands or stuff like that as well. And there's been loads of times where, especially I've got two young kids and get a job and everything else as well alongside it, and life gets in the way of living sometimes.
Aye, it can be tough.
It really does, and I think it's easy to just chuck it. It's easy to just go, I'm not doing it anymore, and then you can probably live the rest of your life going, I wonder what if. But don't get me wrong, there's been a lot of points where I've just went, I can't be bothered with this anymore. Especially, I remember it was a kind of an old band I was in, and we'd done this. It was like a kind of national battle of the bands thing we did, and we played like the Royal Concert Hall in Glasgow in the first heats. Then we went down to Newcastle. This was called like the Tyne Journal Theatre. We were like representing Scotland and the North England. We get through that, and we get into the final down at the O2 in London. We're doing playing there, and it was like we were going for date playing these big stages and in front of loads of people and getting that real buzz at it. And then the competition finished. We fell short. We didn't win it. But to go back to that, to then going back to playing a King Tut's and like a Saturday, like going for thousands, to like just having to go back to like hassling your mates again, going, oh, do you want to come to this gig? And, oh, can you come? And we're doing this, we're doing that. And I think it was a bit of a reality check, and I think at that point I was just like, oh, can I do this? You
Aye,
know,
aye. Can I keep going?
can I keep going? But you've got to, like I say, for me, it's a creative outlet, and I don't have to be playing on big stages and doing the big fancy things all the time. Like for me, it's just something that I need it. Some people go running, some people do gaming, some people do other things. For me, it's writing music.
Aye.
So
I can definitely understand that. I think for me the big change came after COVID. So I think before COVID, I played amateur football and was both playing and managing for the best part of 20 years. And it was a huge part of my life. Like, that was my thing. Loved it, absolutely loved being involved in football, loved running teams, loved doing all that. And I went from playing for a Saturday team and a Sunday team and playing a couple of times during the week, fives and sevens, to after COVID, no doing anything, no seeing anybody. And I really struggled, put a lot of weight on, something I've got back off, but no yet. And I really struggled with that, and I think gaming came at that time. So I think gaming for me was, I've always loved gaming, right? Always loved it. But that for me picked up that gap. That's where I was like, this is something that kind of fills that. I need something.
aye.
I need to be doing something. I need to be active. I need to be creative. Probably more so the creative side of it, because this gaming thing has then turned into, as I said, drone channels and
Absolutely.
podcasts and different bits and bobs, and I love all that. And it's unlike football, it's not weather dependent. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When it comes to my gaming and my editing and stuff, I can just sit in the house when it's minging outside and
Absolutely.
do that all day long. So no, that's cool. So let's talk about some highs then, because obviously we all have that dip and you think, God, I don't know if I can do this anymore, but there must be some real boom. This has been, so I know you had a gig recently, which I was hoping to get done to, but I ended up too hungover to come along to. But you want to talk about that and how that came about?
Yeah, so we just kind of did it was just part of we wanted to kind of mark a point where we, after we put out the album, it was just kind of a bit of a kind of marker for us to play a gig alongside it, and just to almost kind of celebrate it in our own wee way, I suppose. So we played in HMV on Argyle Street, which seemed like the perfect thing to do, because, like I say, for us all, see, I've got two kids, drummer's got two kids, guitarist has got a wee boy as well. So for us to celebrate it in a way that we could do it during the day, we could get all the kids doing, the family doing, it was amazing. So that was really, really nice. It felt, although it was kind of quite small scale to other things we've done, it felt like a real high, because it was like, it's been a lot of time and hours away from them and everything else. I say that as if I've been at fucking war, but it's been a lot of time in the studio and stuff like that. So to be able to kind of go, look, this is what we've done at the end of it, and be able to sort of share it with them, was great. But like, the highs, like for me, like I say, it's not necessarily motivated by the big shiny things, but like for us, we're at the stage now where we've got our own rehearsal space and stuff now, and it's great. And it's just those wee, like I'm saying, that having those wee sort of connections with, like, the sort of boys in the band, and when things just sort of click and you sort of write the wee, like, riffs at work or songs, or you get an idea and things just start to kind of grow organically. Like, it's such an amazing feeling. Like,
Yeah.
I can't describe it to anybody, but just to feel that sort of creative thing kind of going on, and to see something going for such a small idea in your head, where it's just like a couple of lines, or it's been just a wee sort of guitar riff. Some of the stuff we've got on the album, it's just come for like, oh, here's a riff, I'm not really sure what to do with it. And then you come in and you start playing it, and then somebody else starts playing. All right, cool, that kind of works. And then, as the sort of time goes on, you've sort of built something out of nothing, and that to me that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. And then to go out and share that, and if you get that, other people are getting that same feeling as well, then that's ultimately that's the goal.
And I suppose storytelling's a real big part of music writing, and you do write your own music. He's all involved in that.
We are. We're all involved in it musically, lyrically. It's kind of, I would say it's predominantly me. There'll be wee kind of ideas or wee sort of lines the guys will chip in and go, maybe try this or try that. But no, storytelling's a huge part for me. Like I kind of love guys like Tom Waits and Bob Dylan, Shane McGowan. These guys that tell like real sort of stories and their songs. Johnny Cash as well. Like to me, like, you hear so much it now. Like a lot of the sort of songwriting, especially chart music, it's utter nonsense. And then you've got all your other stuff. You've got all your sort of jingly jangly West End music that plays, and there's no real substance to it. It's just rhyming for the sake of rhyming, and that's fine. Like if you want to do that and you get a buzz off it, great. But to me, it's got to really mean something.
Yeah.
I can't. Every one of our songs is so deeply personal to me. Um, so I, I mean, there's sort of general themes throughout the album and stuff like that as well. It's a lot of, I suppose it's kind of grown up, maybe what you thought life might be like, or different experiences, and you feeling that sense of sort of fulfillment when they come, and when they maybe do come, you realise, oh, I'm maybe no, this isn't how I expected it to feel,
Aye.
or this isn't how I thought. But the time I got to um, kind of when I was in my 30s or whatever, that I thought I would have a better grasp of what's going on, and really
Aye.
I'm just still a wee guy that's
Still
got
winging in life.
responsibilities. Aye,
Aye.
absolutely. And it's like the songs are just a lot about that, a lot of like the stuff everybody's sort of facing, like cost of living, and like kind of growing up and seeing how things are different, and kind of different friendships and relationships that you thought might have lasted forever, and think just how things change. So it's got to be, for me personally, it's got to come from the heart. There's got to be an emotional element to it. Otherwise, you're just making a noise, which is fine. Like I've got no issue with that. But um, I like, it's got to really mean something. It's got to come from the heart, and then the music kind of comes alongside that, and that's where the guys really come into their own. Because again, you've always got to play in bands. I feel again with guys that are that wee bit better than you.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean? Because
Aye.
it keeps you on your toes. I think if you become the main man in the band, you're better than everybody. I think you've kind of hit a bit of a wall. You've got to be striving to be better all the time. I think, and having that thing that you want to almost impress the guys with a wee bit, or it's that kind of a bit of kind of joke. If you're playing a band, it's like the biggest compliment you get for another musician's that sort of phase. Like
Aye.
if you're playing something and you kind of look up and somebody's going, you kind of go, right, cool. I'm doing something right there. So it's very much a team effort musically. Lyrically, it's predominantly me.
So, Blaine, has there ever been any real influences, big influences in you musically? Whether that's somebody you've met and you've went, wow, I've picked something up from them that is unbelievable, or somebody you've never met that you think, wow, that's really had an impact on me musically.
Yeah, I give you an example, and he'll probably laugh at us if he sees it. And he's still somebody I kind of keep in contact with. So there's a band when I was kind of growing up. It's my mum that used to listen to them. The Kevin McDermott Orchestra. Kevin McDermott's still going strong now, doing his own thing. But they were a band that I honestly, like, nobody had heard of them when I went to college or anything like that. And I'd say 10 of my mates, they wouldn't have known who they were, but like phenomenal musicians. A guy called Marco Rossi on the guitar as well, like phenomenal. But I kind of went to college, and with this class, I can't remember what it was, but we were just basically talking about what sort of bands we were into, and I'd said, oh, this one, and the Kevin McDermott Orchestra, and the lecturer kind of looked at me like that. Was that, do you like them? So I love them. Aye, brilliant. Is that? the bass player's a lecturer here. I was like, no way, like. And this guy that probably no many people had heard of, like to me that was like meeting Paul McCartney for the first time. I was like, fucking hell, like brought in an album and got him to sign it and all that and everything else. And he's just a great guy as well that I've kind of became good pal over the years, and he's came to see us a few times. So I think to me that was one of the kind of moments like, oh my god, like meeting one of your kind of heroes. But I know he was great. And I've been so fortunate over the years to play in bands with different people and play gigs with other musicians as well. Where you're like they've just got something. Do you know what I mean? There's just something about them, and you can always kind of take wee things. And whether I'm a pure weirdo when it comes to like guitar pedals and all that, like obsessed with it. And I'm like the guy that's if there's bands playing, I'm all like kind of looking at the stage to see what they're kind of looking at, or what they're using on their board. So I picked up a lot of my sort of setup that I use now. There's a band called the Boxer Rebellion. I used to absolutely love the guys that still do. And I'd kind of was chatting to the guy about what sort of delay pedal he used. And it was this Line 6 Echo Park. And I've had that on my board for about maybe 15 years now. A band called October Drift. We've just kind of coming to an end now. But great sound and everything that they kind of do. And again, asking them about what sort of distortion pedals we're using, and I was kind of going away and spending hours like my wife will say like so you'll find like some if their partner's always looking at their phone, they'll have a wee glance, but she just knows that I'm looking at guitar pedals all the time. So it's like there's nothing particularly interesting there, and it's like I've seen people kind of using things, and I've just gone away like kind of researching them. Like I totally love that. But in terms of like the general influences, like a lot of Scottish bands, Mogwai, I absolutely love Mogwai, Frightened Rabbit, the Twilight Sad, Kev McDermott Orchestra, like I mentioned, bands like Radiohead, The National, stuff like that. But I like about everything really. Like I love metal music, bands like kind of Mastodon and stuff like that as well. I love jazz, I love funk. Bands like Wolfpack and stuff. So it's just always just hearing, like talking earlier on about different playlists. I've got a stupid amount of playlists on my Spotify, and it can be just because I like the guitar tone in songs, and I've got playlists I just like the guitar tone, or I've just got like the bass tone is great in all of these, and it's just that again leads me into all these different avenues. I research and right, what basses are using there, what pedals are they using, how is it recorded, how is it fitting in with everything else, like that just blows my mind, and I'm kind of thankful for that. Like I love that it takes me down all these different avenues. So I'm always finding wee bits of inspiration all the time. But they, like I say, bands like Radiohead and Mogwai and stuff, they're ones that they've been a pretty constant in most of my musical life, I would say.
Aye. It's funny you should say about picking up different bits of music and kind of discovering different types of music. So after the Spotify Wrapped, we were kind of talking with my daughter. My oldest daughter's 23 now, and her age came in at 33, right? Because she listens to a lot of 80s and kind of older stuff. She was asking me and the missus what ours comes in at, and my missus comes in at 22 and mine comes in at 21. My daughter couldn't believe it. So how is yours at 21? Like, I don't understand it. And I was like, well, we listen to a lot of new music. There's stuff that comes out all the time. You're kind of set in your ways with your stuff. Whereas I like new music, but again, there's things like that. So 2 songs that I kind of picked up, and I couldn't for the life of me tell you the name of them, right? But there's one that I seen in an advert on TV, and I was like, I really like that tune. So get the old Shazam out, try to find out what it is, get it onto the Spotify playlist, how are you listening? I'm like, that's really good. Missus isn't keen on it, but I like it, and I like a couple of wee things that are a wee bit out there. So my playlist is quite set, and then there's just an absolute curveball. And then I was talking to a big guy, Big Chris for the canteen. Talking to Big Chris, and when I was leaving work the other night, and he was talking about going to see Twin Atlantic, and I was saying I'm kind of done for the year. I'm going to see some people next year. Luke Combs in Amsterdam being one of the big ones.
Very good one.
Which we couldn't get Murrayfield, so we ended up booking Amsterdam and making a weekend of it. So I'm looking forward to that.
Absolutely.
But I was talking to Chris and he was chatting about a couple of bits and bobs. We were talking about the Spotify Wrapped, and he says, he's like, you ever heard Beans on Toast? And I was like, no. And he told me this song, right? He's like, try this song. He's like, he kind of talks through songs rather than sings.
Yeah.
So that sounds a bit odd. And I put it on the car as soon as I got in the car and I was driving up the road and I was listening and I was like, this is actually quite good. And then I was listening to a couple of other ones that was a wee bit off the wall, kind of batshit crazy, but it was fun. And see stuff like that, just finding new music you would never normally listen to. I quite like that. I like listening to stuff that I would never normally listen to.
Brilliant.
So, so the band, what's next? What's the next big thing for you now that your album's released?
Well, just try to do a wee bit of plugging there. We'd probably just sort of time of the year. We'd kind of hope to try and do something else before the end of the year, but probably be looking like January before we start doing stuff again. But be hoping to get out and be playing a few shows just off the back of the album. We're still while we're in the studio, we're still sort of writing stuff all the time. So we're probably, if we had the time and the money, we could probably go out and knock out another album tomorrow. But no, we're just kind of looking forward to kind of getting out and sharing that with people and seeing the sort of fruits of our labour, I suppose, and hopefully we can get some people on the journey with us and just see where we go.
Pick up some new fans, definitely. And what's the name of the album for people that are either listening or watching? What's the name of the new album?
So the new album is called A New Kind of Normal. Again, just kind of playing on the sort of themes of throughout the album itself. Comes off from the name of one of the tracks, A New Kind of Normal, and it's just kind of I suppose it's a bit of a summary of what life was like after COVID and how we've all had to adjust to a new kind of normal and what the world was like before and what it's like now, good or bad. We've all got to adjust to it. So.
Definitely, I like that. Yeah. Is there any like big goals? So I talked about this in a couple of the other episodes where I kind of set myself targets and say, here's where I want to get to, and I think it's good to set realistic targets where I want to achieve it, but if I could get there, that would be amazing. So as I said, some of the things I'd like to do in terms of videos, I would have loved a video with 100,000 views. I've done that a couple of times now, which I'm still not over it. I'm still buzzing about the ones. And then the big dream was to hit one that was over 1 million, and I've done that, almost 3 million views in a video and kind of things like that. Do you have targets or big dreams where you want to go with the band, or are you just kind of taking it as it goes and see where it goes?
I suppose just take it as it comes, but at the same time you've got to put a bit of time and effort into it, and then where that might go might look a wee bit different depending on the sort of effort you put in. But I think for us really to have an album, to have a physical album that you can hold, that you can go, right, I've made this is out in the world forever, for us was a really important thing. And then just to get out and be playing and share it with people and hopefully get some people on side, and you say just getting that wee bit of feedback going like, I totally get that song, I can totally relate to that and whatever else. Like that's, to me, that's all the validation you need to, like, if somebody can come out and say like that song made me feel better, or that song made me feel something, to me that's powerful, and I can continue to do that as long as the band's still going and we can get the time and whatever else to do it, and everything else I suppose just takes care of itself.
Aye, definitely. Do you know, randomly, right? I always talk about random stuff because I think I'm very much a random person, and I seem to have all these wee different things where I've tell people random stories. But I actually recorded 2 songs myself, not personally by myself, but I recorded 2 songs with a group of about 30 guys on a stag do once.
All right, okay.
We had a stag do in Newcastle, and there was a surprise on the Sunday, and we didn't know what it was. we all showed up at this wee place, and it turned out it was a recording studio, and they had booked us all in to record 2 songs. And it was the most carnage as you could imagine. None of us were musically talented, apart from probably Rob Macklin. He was in a band as well. God, I forget the name of it now, and he's going to kill me for it. But we ended up recording 2 songs down there in Newcastle, and they basically sent us away while they done their kind of editing and finalisation, and then we all went back and got a wee CD to go up the road with, which was absolutely hilarious.
That'd be the Christmas number 1 this year? That'd be...
Absolutely not. I don't think it would. I don't even think it'd make a number 1 in my house, to be honest. I think they'd have ditched that. Okay, Blain. So where can people find you? Where can they find the band and the album?
So find us on your usual social media platforms like Instagram, Facebook. The album is available on Apple Music, iTunes, YouTube, everything else. So the Glass Key and You Kinda Normal. You can have a wee listen there and hope you enjoy it.
Aye, superb. Well, as we wrap up, I would just like to finish again. As we always do. The car may be parked, but the journey continues. Please check out Blain and the guys at the Glass Key. Check out their new album. And thank you again if you're listening on Spotify or any of the other platforms. If you're watching on YouTube, drop us a comment and hit that like button, because it really does help us to be seen by more people, and we already appreciate everybody that has watched and listened so far, so thank you so much. Also, if there's anybody else that wants to be on the show, then please get in touch, give us a shout, or tag your favourite creator. Let us know, okay? Thank you very much. Catch you in the next one.